So, you probably weren't expecting to see a video like this on the channel. Or maybe you were, you just weren't sure of when exactly it was going to get posted, but the time has come now. We're now here to do some tier listing for Halo, and I figure that's the best series to do a tier list with. And it's not the first time I've done a sort of fun video like this on the channel. There was also the Dying Light 2 quiz video I did a few months back. It's been a while since then, hence it being a few months ago now, but I figured it was finally time to do something like this again. Because I even said in that video I want to do fun shit like that more often, so now we're back on track with that. So let's look at what we got here with Halo. Now, just immediately looking at all these tiers, I just got to say I'm not feeling this game shouldn't exist, okay? Personally, I think that's quite rude, and as all you know by now, I don't like things that are rude. So I'm gonna have to delete that row. And mainly because without some of these games existing, we wouldn't get to where we are now, you know. Everything happens for a reason, I feel. And by removing just one game out of the equation, who knows what that could affect the series, you know, the butterfly effect, as they like to call it. I know this is real life, but just hear me out, okay? I do personally think that things would look very different if, say, Halo 4 didn't exist. I think that game needed to happen in order for Infinite to eventually happen now in 2021 with it releasing. So, yeah, let's rank these games by the order that they're actually posted in, because I don't feel like thinking that hard into it. So, Halo the Master Chief Collection. As everyone knows, it's a compilation of games and all sorts of new features at this point, which weren't there in the original releases that are on this collection. But going by how the Master Chief Collection started out back in its not-so-heydays of 2014, thinking back to those dark ages and where Halo was in general by that point, and just looking at how far it's come over the years to now where we're at in 2021, almost 7 years since its launch in November 2014, it's truly had a hell of a comeback story. Granted, it doesn't have millions or 500,000 people or more playing it daily, but it has a niche little audience that is very dedicated to it. It's definitely made quite a bit of progress since its birth. So, I think that all things considered, I gotta put it in the great category. Regardless of where it started, just considering where it got, especially post-PC launch with Halo Reach, I think it at the very least deserves to be put in great. So then from there we got a Halo 2600. I have no idea what the fuck that even means. Let's look this shit up because I truly don't know. Halo 2600, let's see here. 2600 is a 2010 action-adventure developed by Ed Fries and published by Atari Age for the Atari 2600, a video game console released in 1977. Alright, I'm not gonna read all that, but yeah. There you go. Halo on Atari. So upon reading that, I've decided that this game will be considered godly. Now we have Halo 5, which it has some pretty mixed reactions, I think is a pretty fair way of putting it. The general consensus is that the campaign is total garbage, which, I mean, that is very true. And if we were just including the campaign, it would go right here. But since this includes the whole package, and considering how much more content got added post-launch, even if a lot of that content was already content there at launch in previous titles. But, you know, we're past that point unless Infinite ends up repeating history, which, I mean, it's kind of looking that way right now, regardless of how much I'm looking forward to playing the multiplayer. But when it comes to the multiplayer for Halo 5, well, personally, I don't think it's a good Halo game, but I do think it's a good first-person shooter. All things considered at this point, I think my general feelings on Halo 5, all in all, would be it's a meh game. It's meh. I think it's okay. To me, meh means okay. I think it's alright. I wouldn't consider it a truly good game, purely for the fact that I just don't think it's good enough as a Halo game, but I do think, all in all, it is an alright game, so I think that's a fair place to put it. Then from there, we have the OG, Combat Evolved. So, where does Combat Evolved get put? Well, if we're being perfectly honest, it's gotta go in the amazing category. The godly tier, this gets reserved for only the greatest games to ever exist, such as Halo 2600, so that's why that gets put there. But Combat Evolved, it has so much importance within gaming it has so much influence, and it's done so much for the first-person shooter genre. And considering the way it put first-person shooters on the consoles, and again, just the impact that it's had within gaming from the fantastic campaign, which it definitely shows some age with the level design, with how repetitive a lot of it is. Still, fantastic experience, but, you know, especially after you've spent enough time playing through Comedy Evolved's campaign, it does reach that point of being like, okay, this is still great, but repetition is definitely showing. You know, just some general age things having to do with it, considering it's about 20 years old now. But all in all, still amazing. Multiplayer, very simplistic, but man, just the impact the game had, that alone puts it right in the amazing category. It's too essential. It's too influential. It matters too much not to be there. So that's why I put it there. And then from there we have this Halo arcade game, which I heard about. We're actually going to look up that one as well, because I'm not remembering it fully. I think Fireteam Raven, but, you know, let's look it up regardless. So instead of being on regular Wikipedia for Halo 2600, here we are on Halopedia.org, because the org is important. So yeah, this is a competitive, or not competitive, cooperative arcade sci-fi shooting game from Arcade Legends. So, arcade game. I've heard it's a good game. Dave & Buster's, okay. I haven't been to Dave & Buster's in fucking forever. If I ever go back to Dave & Buster's, which I foresee myself doing that, I'll probably try it then. Who knows, maybe I'll do a review of it then. Hey guys, I finally played Fireteam Raven. We're gonna talk about this game. Okay, you all care about this a lot. Clearly, okay? So, expect that in like 2028. Anyways, so even though I haven't played it, godly. Alright, so from there we have Infinite, which is a game that has not officially released yet. But, considering what we've gotten so far of the multiplayer, I guess, fuck it, I guess we'll put it somewhere. I'm gonna put it in good from what we've played so far. Because that's what my feelings are on Infinite so far. Good game. I can't say any more than that, but that's just how I'm feeling from the flights as of now. And then from there, we get the two greatest games of all time, Spartan Assault and Spartan Strike, the ultimate duology in gaming, which everyone refers to as the iconic duo. Yeah, so like I said before, this tier is reserved for only the GOATs. Unlike all this trash right here, these are the ones that deserve the highest place. Anyways, from there, we have Halo Wars 2, which between these two categories, I'm going to put it as great. And there's no importance here between Master Chief Collection and Halo Wars 2 in terms of their placement on the tier. I'm just putting them there to put them there. You know, whichever one got there first, gets there first. You snooze, you lose. And it just so happened that Halo Wars 2 is in second place purely because it came after on this list. So, Halo Wars 2, I consider it one of my, I believe, not only favorite 8th generation games. Actually, no, I think I just put it as that. I was trying to think of some list that probably doesn't exist, but yeah, I really love Halo Wars 2. I thought it was great. I haven't played it in a very long time as of now. Like over a year, like 4 months. But great game. I really enjoyed the campaign. It was something that just really sucked me in while I was playing it. And when I played the multiplayer, very fun and enjoyable experience. I'm personally not an RTS fan like that, but as a Halo fan, I decided to give the Halo Wars games a shot without getting too far into Wars 2, which is actually the last game on here. Wars 2, I think it deserves to be put in great. And then from there, we have ODST, which I already know I'm going to put into good. It's personally not my favorite game of the series by any stretch of the imagination, but I do still like ODST nonetheless. I think that the formula that they were going for with this game was something with a lot of potential, which I would love to see fleshed out more in a future spin-off title, something like ODST 2. I know that there's a lot of demand for that game. I actually made a video about why ODST needs a sequel, like, back in May of 2020. I've given this game some praise in the past, having played more of it since that video from the Firefight inclusion back last year. And shit, now Flood Firefight? Yeah, I think all in all, this is a good game. Definitely not perfect. Personally, to me, the standout levels were always the rookie ones. The other Halo levels in this game, I thought they were fine for what they were. Just typical Halo stuff. But the rookie levels? A1. Just the atmosphere and everything. And the music in this game, my god, it's just it's pretty unique for a Halo game. Honestly, ODST is pretty unique for a Halo game, but all in all, I like it enough to put it there, but I don't love it enough to rank it any higher. But then from there, we have Reach, which, I mean, shit, it's going right there. Even though I personally, I think I would consider Halo Wars 2 to be better than Reach, but for the sake of this tier video, I'm going to leave them both here. But when it comes to Reach, very enjoyable campaign. A lot of memorable moments and characters and bits to it. Definitely brings out the emotions. It was a very nice send-off in terms of the Bungie story when it comes to the Halo games and how it led into Halo 1 being the prequel to that game and then going on from there. And then you had the multiplayer, which, if we're getting into the competitive side of things, this game was the start of that being fucked over. But in terms of casual and just all the fun that could be made with Reach, all the fun that could be had with this game, that was something that I have a lot of fond memories for. And all the different modes that I haven't mentioned. The expansion of Forge after its introduction in Halo 3 and how Reach built upon that with its own Forge system, which, you know, I forgot to mention that about 5, which we'll go back to that for a moment. The Forge in that game is just holy shit, and it's going to be wild to see what they do with Infinite's Forge. But when it comes to Reach, I definitely do consider it to be a great game. It's a game that I have a lot of very good memories of. But then from there, we have Halo 4, which, I'm going to be honest here, I don't like Halo 4. I think the game sucks. Now, the campaign, I think, is decent. I didn't like it too much at first, but upon replaying it in the Master Chief Collection years ago, I decided, you know what? This is actually a little bit better than I thought. Granted, I still don't love the campaign. I think that the gameplay loop is very repetitive and tedious, and Prometheans are annoying as fuck and not fun to fight at all. If we just go off of all the other elements aside from just the gameplay loop, in terms of the story, the writing, the handling of characters, and the music, which different from previous games, but still, I think Halo 4 soundtrack is still pretty good. Same with 5's. I don't think any single Halo soundtrack has been inherently bad. I think all of them are at least good, if not better. Even the ones that stand out the most from the others. And even though 4's an entry is very different in that regard, I still like it. But anyways, aside from the campaign, you have everything else, such as the multiplayer, which I just wasn't a fan of. Aside from the fact that it just tried too hard to be something that it wasn't, I just thought the shit got boring very quickly. I just don't think Halo 4 was all that fun of a game to play. I think it got pretty dull after a while. And then when you have shit like Spartan Ops, which Spartan Ops, I thought that shit was trash. I was not a fan of Spartan Ops. I played like a few chapters, but I got so bored and cared so little about what was going on that I just didn't even bother going anywhere with that. So, decent campaign, but every other aspect of the game, except maybe Forge, I did have some fun with friends on that. Aside from that, though, yeah, I don't like Halo 4. I think the campaign really is the only decent thing about it. So, that's where I put it. And then from there, we have Halo 2. Which, and this isn't even biased, just fuck it. I'm also putting Halo 3 here. It's a no-brainer with these two games because this trilogy has so much importance. Not just Combat Evolved. All three games are so essential and have done so much, not even just for Halo, but for the genre and for gaming. And, you know, we're talking about Halo 2 and 3 together in this instance. Halo 2, I mean, it's fucking Halo 2. It laid the foundation for so much new after Halo 1. And yes, this game has one hell of a troubled development cycle. That is very well-known history at this point. But considering how this game came out, and the fact that it still came out so great, man, I honestly look back at Halo 2 as like a victory lapse after Halo 1. That's how I feel about it. Granted, I didn't play the original. I first played Halo 2 with the Master Chief Collection. It deserves a place just for that. Just for what it's done. And, you know, how it laid the foundation for the series going forward with 3 and on. And speaking of 3, I mean, I don't think much else needs to be said. I think we all know why this trilogy is held in such high regard. So I'm just going to leave it at that. There isn't a reason to keep dick riding, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, Master Chief's schlong is big and hard enough as is. Okay, it's a literal, it's a Spartan cylinder. That is a Spartan cock. I haven't researched that, but that's what my assumption is. It's just metallic. And then finally, as I said before, Halo Wars 2 is the last one here, which all in all, I'm going to put in the good category. I like Halo Wars. I definitely prefer Halo Wars 2. I think it built on the first one very nicely. But I still do like this game. I never got into playing the multiplayer of it, but I did play the campaign, and I enjoyed that. Played it 2 times, actually. Yeah, I'm feeling it right here. I can't think of much else to say, and I just don't find a reason to go into a super amount of detail with any of this. Just, this is how I'm feeling about these games. These 4, of course, are the best ones. Everything, again, here is complete garbage. All this is garbage compared to the Godly tier, just so you all know. With that being said, that's my opinion on Halo. That's what I think of the series. What's your tier? What is your guys' tier list? What do you think of Halo? Well, not even just think of it. Where do you rank all these games? Leave your thoughts or whatever in the comment section. I don't give a fuck. Say whatever you want. This is what I think, and you can't take that away from me. So yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, all that good shit, and I'll see you all next time. But until then, I'm out. Later.